Welcome back, everybody. So my DNS proxy is running. The only thing that I have changed here is the domain. So I went ahead and I've actually registered the domain, adminkrepunch.com, my first name, last name. So www.adminkrepunch.com. And this domain will probably be down by the time I actually publish this video. This is the IP address as before of my virtual machine where the web server is running. And I went ahead and I created a website and created a web server that is basically tied to this domain, and the static IP is there. And I've also bought an SSL certificate just so that I can demonstrate how this principle works. So this is running, the wireless access point is running, and my victim machine is actually connected to that wireless access point. Now, as I said before 100 times, you do not require this victim machine. You can use your cell phone, you can use your other machine in your house, a laptop, whatever, tablet, doesn't really matter. And here is the site that I'm going to do tests with. The reason for me actually creating this site is due to the fact that I can't really use any of the social media web servers or their domains or anything like that. I cannot compromise them in any way. Well, primarily because I don't have a permission and it's illegal. So I have created my own domain. I've created my own website. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, Ermin, but your website is so simple. The content of the site they're completely irrelevant. You can have anything here. You can have 100 pictures. You can have videos, whatever. I've just created the basic of the basic content for the site because the content of the site is completely irrelevant. What is important is to bypass SSL. Once we actually manage to bypass SSL, the content of the site is irrelevant because once the traffic can be decrypted, it doesn't matter what's on the site, you'll be able to see everything. So the content, once again, they're completely irrelevant. This is just for testing purposes that I have created for you guys. So I've actually registered a domain, brought up a web server in the cloud, and bought an SSL certificate as well. So this is a legit HTTPS connection. Certificate has been imported, functioning. The traffic between me and this site is encrypted. This is not a self-signed certificate. This is something that if you go here, it says verified by Komodo CA Limited. So this is a real SSL certificate that I have purchased, and this is not something that I've created and self-signed. So this is the real deal. Anyway, I have not configured this web server to go for the HTTPS, where the HTTPS protocol is strictly enforced, whereby no HTTP connections are actually possible. But rather instead, I have just left it at HTTPS. That's going to be the first part of this demo. The second part is where we will actually go and see what we can do about the HSTS. Then I will reconfigure the server for HSTS, and then we'll see what happens there. Now, look, even though this site is HTTPS, right? It's clearly HTTPS. There you have a lock here. I'm going to go to my victim machine and open up a web browser. And I shall type in www. And here I've already opened it before, and I shall press enter. And it's loading. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, it's proxying the responses. That's nice. And there you go. It takes me to the fake site. It says here fake site. Where did this fake site come from? Well, on the Kali machine, I have created another site, which is the exact copy of the one I have, which is the exact copy of the real site, except for the fact that in the title it says fake site. So let me just do cat var. Don't worry, I will show you how to copy websites. I'll literally show you a tool which you can use in order to copy an entire website. You won't need to do this manually. HTML, index.html, and you can see that this is the entirety of the site. it doesn't matter. It says username and password, input. It doesn't actually go anywhere. And here it just says fake site, while here it says real site. So I just placed those two small differences so that you could tell. And take a look at this. It's not HTTPS at all. It's HTTP regardless. So this technique that I'm employing with the DNS redirections actually works on a vast amount of HTTPS sites. So it doesn't matter if a site is HTTPS or HTTP, this is going to work. As I said, this is not a self-signed certificate for this site. This is a real certificate. And now that I basically have this, now that there is a redirection on the client, on the victim machine to this site, whatever the user types in here, I will be able to sniff out and see on the network. How that is done, I will also show you, of course. But this is the most important part, to get rid of the HTTPS. So that's the primary problem. Once you're rid of that, and once the traffic is going over your network, grabbing the actual traffic is a piece of cake, basically. That's very easy. So my technique, well, I don't know, it's not actually my technique, it's the technique that was invented that I am just demonstrating here, works. So it works for HTTPS sites. It doesn't work for all HTTPS sites, but it works for a vast amount of them. Now, I am able to protect myself against this if I reconfigure the web server hosting the real site to redirect all connections on port 80 to port 443. Once that happens, and once I actually implement the protocols, once I actually put the lines of code to enforce the HTTPS no matter what, then this vector of attack will no longer be possible. How we will bypass that, we'll see in part 2, but before that, let's go ahead and see how we can grab the username and password on this site. And by the way, this technique can also work for pretty much any other website. There are no real differences between this site and any other site out there aside from the looks, but the web server, you're not trying to compromise the site itself through the content of the site, but rather instead you're trying to compromise the encryption of the site. Once that is compromised, you basically can do whatever you want with the traffic that goes over your network. Okay, so gonna bid you farewell here, and we shall see each other in the follow-up tutorial where I will show you how to actually take the credentials, and then we will go into the HSTS.